My beloved viewers, both students, teachers, and lovers of literature, allow me to welcome you to my channel. Today, we are introducing episodic analysis that will help us understand the short stories in the anthology, A Silent Song and Other Stories. This is an anthology that will be examined in Kenya Certificate of Secondary Education exams in English Paper 3. My name is Mwalimu Momanyi James, a teacher of English and literature. For more information, you can contact us through the phone number and the email addresses on the screen. Again, feel free to subscribe to our channel, to our YouTube channel, share, like, and comment. Welcome. This analysis is geared towards helping students and teachers in high school and researchers both in college and universities in analyzing the short stories. This analysis is subdivided into 6 parts for each and every short story to be analyzed. These 6 parts include authorial background, setting, synopsis, characterization, themes, and finally language and styles. The anthology of short stories, A Silent Song and Other Stories, is an anthology that comprises 14 short stories. They include A Man of Awesome Power, Incident in the Park, Ninema, A Silent Song, Ivory Bangles, The Sin of the Fathers, The Truly Married Woman, Talking Money, Ghosts, God Sees the Truth But Waits, The Neighbor Watch, December, Boy, and finally Checkmate. Episode 1. In our episode 1, we are going to analyze the short story A Man of Awesome Power by Naguib Mahfouz from Egypt. Authorial background. Who is Naguib Mahfouz? Naguib Mahfouz was born in 11th December 1911 in Gamaliya, a small town within the old city of Cairo. He died in the year 2006, 30th of August, aged 94 years old. He was a son of a minor official in Cairo, Egypt. Mahfouz received a traditional education at Akutab, that is a Quranic school, for his primary and secondary level. At his early age, he read great works of classical Arabic literature and mastered the Arabic language. That influenced his career in writing. Mahfouz felt that marriage will hinder his career, hence delayed marrying until the age of 43. Mahfouz graduated from Cairo University in 1934 with a degree in philosophy, then began his master's in philosophy, which he abandoned, dedicating his life in writing. He did writing as a part-time job, having secured civil service job with the government until his retirement in the year 1971. Mahfouz wrote over 30 novels, among them The Curse of Ra, 1947, Palace Walk, 1956, among others. During this time, Egypt was engaged in struggle for independence from the British rule. And indeed, as we know, literature is the mirror of the society. That's why the political happenings of the time interwoven in the lives of the many characters in his novels. In 1957, Mahfouz started a work on Children of Ali, which was translated as Children of Gabelo. This novel brought him into conflict with Egyptian, both religious and government authorities, who perceived that the novel was dealing with issues which were considered an acceptable subject of fiction, as it brought a conflict between biblical teaching and Quranic teaching based on their religious susceptibilities. Many years later, the novel came out, but became the reason for the attack on Mahfouz's life in the year 1994. He was hospitalized with a wound on his neck, leaving him partially paralyzed in his right arm. Mahfouz took some time and wrote 14 volumes of short stories that he published under the anthology title The Time and the Place in 1992. His contribution in short stories is often forgotten in the face of his overwhelming achievement in novel writing. Mahfouz's last work was a novel, Kushtumar, in 1988, and another collection of short stories termed The Seventh Heaven, published in the year 2005, just a year before his death. Constituting the short story A Man of Awesome Power, which has been republished in the anthology A Silent Song and Other Stories in Kenya, 2022. In his last call, Mahfouz dealt with the afterlife. Mahfouz wanted, observed, and believed that something good will happen to him after his death. Despite his numerous achievements, fame and rewards, neither fame nor the considerable monetary rewards accorded by the Nobel Prize altered his life. He continued to live in his modest with his wife and 2 daughters and changed nothing in his daily routine. He died at old age, by then a frail old man with a failing sight and hearing. A modest man with a ready smile and the sense of humor for which most Egyptians are famous for. The setting of the short story, A Man of Awesome Power. Mahfouz wrote the short story A Man of Awesome Power in the year 2000, which was published in 2005, just a year before his death in August 2006. It is a short story that appeared in his collection in the anthology titled The Seventh Heaven of 2005, comprising a series of short stories which dealt with the afterlife. No wonder in the story, Mahfouz tells about a man, Naguib Mahfouz, the main character, who has just hit his retirement age, having had a life full of satisfaction. The short story is based in Egypt, 21st century, based on the characters and the context in use. Though the short story enlightens on the power and justice for humanity by enriching the poor, by taking from the rich, probably what we can term in Kenya as bottom-up economic model, we really enjoy this interesting short story. Synopsis. A Man of Awesome Power is an interesting short story about the protagonist, Naguib Mahfouz, who lives a comfortable life after retiring from many years of service. His current life is peaceful and uneventful. He spends time watching television, reading newspapers, or listening to the radio in the comfort of his apartment that he shares with his wife, since his daughters are already married. The short story captures how an individual who is empowered when least expected. His illusions of desire for a better country leads to his dream of power acquisition. One night, Naguib dreams of a visitation by a man of radiant appearance who speaks to him in a kind tone, informing him that God had willed him the power to order things to be, and they will be. Although he dismisses the dream like any other dreams, its frequent recurrence makes him give it more thought. Naguib confirms its reality when he orders his television to switch from one channel to the other, and it happens. Endowed with the newly acquired power, he sets out to reform his country and the entire planet as he had often wished. He utilizes his power both for good and bad intentions. He starts by hitting back a taxi driver who ignores him by wishing him an accident. He also causes a man who had physically attacked a woman in a bus to suffer stomach cramps. We see him engaging in meritorious deeds such as filling a gaping pothole, locking an electric box, and removing a pile of rubbish that he trips on. The media does not escape his wrath as he causes the one radio announcer to suffer massive sneezes after making an announcement that gave false hopes. As the story progresses, Suleiman Bey al-Malawi, a political leader who had evaded tax payment, is ordered by Naguib to go and pay the tax that he had been avoiding for a long time. An unfortunate incident occurs when Tayyib is busy planning to effectively utilize his power for the good of all in the country. He notices a beautiful woman at the entrance of the tea garden and uses his ability to satisfy his desires for her. Poor man Tayyib. Their intimacy costs him his incredible power. The fall of a man. He pays this price, ultimate price, for misusing the power that God had freely given him. The story ends with this sad realization that he no longer has power. His attempt to order the television channels change from one to the other do not bear fruits. He experiences a tremendous sadness that haunts him for the rest of his life. Characterization. Characterization refers to the way the author makes characters in a book. It is the process of giving character traits to characters. Often, when describing the characters, adjectives and descriptive nouns are used. Character traits can be identified through various means, including one can identify a character trait of a character by analyzing a character's action or what a character or the character does. 2. One may identify the character trait of a character by observing what the character fails to do. 3. One may identify a character trait of a character by listening to what others say and think about the character. Second last, one may identify a character trait of a character through listening to their dialogue with other characters. Finally, one may identify the character trait of a character through a deep analysis of the author's description about the character. Characters in the short story, A Man of Awesome Power. Just like any other short story, A Man of Awesome Power uses a few characters to achieve its objective. The first and the main character we come across in the short story A Man of Awesome Power is Tayyib al-Mahdi. Tayyib al-Mahdi is the protagonist or the main character in the story A Man of Awesome Power. It is through him and within him that the short story revolves around the awesome power that he miraculously acquires sometimes after his retirement. The following are some of the character traits portrayed by Tayyib al-Mahdi in the short story A Man of Awesome Power. First, Tayyib can be described as secretive. This is a tendency of keeping secrets to oneself. Therefore, Tayyib has a tendency of keeping secrets to himself. A good example is acquisition of his power. He does not reveal to his wife that he had been bestowed with such power. As I quote, telling no one about it, not even to his companion in life, his wife, Hania. We can therefore describe Tayyib al-Mahdi as a secretive man. In addition to that, Tayyib al-Mahdi can be described as a religious man. Being religious is an act of being connected to a particular religion. And indeed, Tayyib believes in the existence of God. There are several examples that we can extract from the short story to prove this. For example, Tayyib's power is bestowed on him by God. As seen from his words, all praise to God, Lord of the worlds. We also come across Tayyib listening to radio channels which were devoted to Quranic teachings. And indeed, his religious nature is one reason that God willed to grant him power. The man who visits him in the dream tells him that starting that moment and as long as God willed, he had been bestowed with the power to order things to be, and they will be. In addition to that, in the short story, the author describes Tayyib al-Mahdi as a good man whose sins are forgivable. He is further described as pious and observant. The term pious from the dictionary meaning refers to having or showing a deep respect for God and religion. Therefore, we can conclude that Tayyib al-Mahdi is a religious man. Also, Tayyib al-Mahdi can be described as a patriot or a responsible citizen. The term patriot or responsible citizen can be used to refer to a person's concerned to the well-being of others. Tayyib al-Mahdi is described as concerned, as one who is concerned with the well-being of others through his well use of the power bestowed on him. The author illustrates that Tayyib al-Mahdi had good plans or dreams for his country and the planet at large. He therefore uses his power for the benefits of others. For example, Tayyib used his power to fill the pothole along the roads for the benefit of others. He also used his powers to lock the electric box that was hanging dangerously. He also removed a pile of rubbish and drained a sewer water that was flooding. He also made the rich man Suleiman Bey al-Malawi to pay tax which he had avoided to pay to the tax authorities for a very long time. We can also describe Tayyib al-Mahdi as a temperamental person. This is the act of having a tendency to become angry, excited, or upset easily and to behave in an unreasonable way. In the story, Tayyib al-Mahdi becomes easily irritated with other characters, For example, Taib becomes easily irritated when the taxi driver refused to stop and rather waved his hand at him in haughty refusal, speeding on his way. As a result, Taib used his power, stared at the taxi's rear wheels, causing them to explode like a bomb. In addition to that, Taib gets easily irritated when the man in the bus slapped the woman they were arguing with. Through his power bestowed on him, Taib induced cramps or pain in the man, causing the man be carried out for an ambulance to fetch him. Finally, Taib gets irritated by the broadcaster who announces political promises that were never fulfilled, causing the broadcaster to sneeze massively until he was forced to conclude his broadcast and play a song, Walk Around and See. Finally, we can describe Taib al-Mahdi as a remorseful person. Being remorseful refers to the feeling of being extremely sorry for something wrong or bad done. At the end of the story, Taib regrets misusing his powers to entice the beautiful woman and to satisfy his own desires, causing sadness that haunts him until the day of his death. The end of characterization of Taib al-Mahdi. The other character we come across in this short story is Hania. Hania is the wife to Taib al-Mahdi, who is the main character in this short story. She is also a mother of 4 girls, making a family of 6 members. In the story, Hania is portrayed as a hard-working and responsible woman. That is, she undertakes her wifely duties by preparing meals for the family in the kitchen and also works as an errand. An errand is a job that one does that involves going somewhere to take a message or to buy or deliver goods to people and being paid for that. Hania is a minor character who is used to complement the main character in the short story, A Man, A Silent Song, a man of awesome power in the anthology, A Silent Song and Other Stories. Thematic concerns. Themes are messages that the author intends to put across in his or her work of art. These are the author's aim of writing. In short stories, the author identifies one major theme that he or she develops his or her story from. Unlike other genres where the author may develop several themes in a single work. The major theme in this short story, A Man of Awesome Power, is power and justice. Power, which is the ability to exercise authority and control over a group of people, while justice is an act of treating people equally without prejudice. This short story, A Man of Awesome Power, narrates about how one may use power over a group of people, either fairly for the good of others or selfishly for his or her own good. Through the main character, the protagonist Tayyib al-Mahdi, the author highlights how one may use power to the benefits of others or for its self-benefits. For example, Tayyib al-Mahdi uses his power to do goods to others and to benefit others. For example, Naguib Mahfouz uses his power to do outstanding services such as filling capping pothole, locking an electric box that was open and hanging dangerously, removing a pile of trash and draining sewer water that was flooding. These are deeds which were meant to benefit others. Indeed, many people appreciated his good deeds. Finally, Tayyib al-Mahdi makes Suleiman, who has been evading paying tax, go to the tax authorities and pay millions of pounds he owed them, service to the nation. Language and style. Stylistic devices are used by authors to make their work attractive, realistic, and develop their themes. In this short story, the first stylistic device we come across is the use of a dream. The author narrates to the reader how the main character, the protagonist Tayyib al-Mahdi, acquires his power through a dream. Quote, "From this moment onward and for as long as God wills, you shall have the power to tell something be, and it will be. Do with it what you please." This is a message given to the main character, Tayyib al-Mahdi, through a dream. In writing, dreams are used to make a story more realistic. Another stylistic device used in this short story is flashback. Flashback refers to illustrations of an occurrence that took place in the past. The author uses flashback to narrate about Tayyib al-Mahdi's dream for the country and planet, which had flared and faded in just a few seconds. Also, when the author is taken aback some time back, this helps the author achieve realism by making the story believable. Finally, another stylistic device used in this short story is the use of simile. Simile is one stylistic device which can be categorized under the umbrella of imageries. They are used to create a cognitive picture in the mind of the reader, thus making the story more attaching and interesting, therefore believable. Simile refers to making of comparisons using terms such as like, as, or similar to. In the short stories, the author uses several similes. For example, the explosion of the taxi's rear wheels is compared to a bomb's explosion. I quote, "And both of them exploded suddenly like a bomb." End of quote. Another example of a simile, the broadcaster's sneezing or the thrilling cries or he or she emitted is compared to those cries made by women at weddings. I quote, "Making the speaker sneeze spontaneously or emit thrilling cries like those made by women at weddings." The last example of a simile used in this short story is the disappearance of Taib's power, which is compared to a dream. The quote, "The miracle was gone like a dream." Another stylistic device used in this short story is exaggeration. Exaggeration refers to description that make someone or something seem bigger or worse than it really is. Indeed, in the short story A Man of Awesome Power, the author exaggerates the protagonist's power, the power to tell things to be and they be. These powers are exaggerated beyond a human's explanation. Finally, the last but not least stylistic device that we have analyzed in this episode is the use of rhetoric questions. These are questions that do not require to be answered because they are either obvious or the answer is already known. Most authors use rhetoric questions to engage the readers. In this short story, A Man of Awesome Power, several rhetoric questions have been used. In page 4, the author uses the following rhetoric questions to engage the reader. How could people change without warning from one extreme to another? What is happening to the world? How can so many problems be set right? Will it do any harm to one who wished to repair the world if he also sought to heal himself? And we also ask the same questions to our viewers. Will it do any harm to one who wished to repair the world if he also sought to heal himself? And the question we ask, was Taib al-Mahdi justified to use powers bestowed on him by God to sought to heal himself? And that brings us to the end of our analysis of the short story, A Man of Awesome Power, the end of episode 1. Thank you so much for your time. May God bless you so much. If you have any question or you need a part-time class, please contact us via the mobile phone number on the screen or the email address so that we may reach back to you. Please, again, I request you, my beloved viewers, feel free to subscribe to our YouTube channel, like, share, and comment to enable us generate more content. Our next episode, we shall analyze another short story in this anthology.